The Ohio Neck and Back Pain Relief Center, Scott M. Gray, D.C., across from the Marion Center between TSC and Kroger. For further information, dial 740-386-6580. Also located on the net at goodbackbadback.com.
You know what the greatest thing is about the exchange with Scott Spears? Well, not only do they have Scott Spears, but they got all kinds of fabulous guests, too. So tune in. The exchange. Scott Spears. Right here. Hello there, Soup here. Say, if you want to be really entertained, just tune in to The Exchange, starring my good friend Scott Spears, here on this station.
Hey, Scott Spears along with you on the Wednesday edition of The Exchange, having a lot of fun this week with Charlie Evers, Brenda Donegan, Martha Douse-Manesi, and Mary Ellen Withrow. That is a group of names you're sure to recognize in Marion City and Marion County and beyond. It's quite a panel this week and a lot of fun. Charlie, kick us off on Wednesday midweek, Fascinating Facts.
Yeah, I'd like to mention something that took place for years and years, just before Thanksgiving. About 2 days before, the Oak Street Elementary School and Todd, the principal over there, I can't remember.
Mike Todd?
Yeah, Mike Todd, yes. Mike Todd had the cafeteria ladies cook up a Thanksgiving meal, and he actually had the children singing what you would call maybe a kind of a religious type of song, one of the popular ones. And he invited people from all over the city government and others to come in and share their meal with the children. But Mike would come in at the last minute carrying a gun over his shoulder and acting like a pilgrim father. And I never will forget, he stepped out this one day and a reporter from the Marion Star was there and said, "Mr. Todd, you can't carry a gun in here. That's against the law." He says, "Not when you're principal." And I'll never forget that. That was so good. He was so good.
I guess he was.
Yes.
Whatever became of him?
He's still around, but I don't know what he does now. He's retired.
Well, he's enjoying life.
Yes.
Having a good time. Do want to let everybody know, once again, the 14th Annual Night of a Thousand Stars Variety Charity Show will be taking place Thursday, December the 8th, 6:30 p.m. at the Unkefer Street Union Hall, right here in Marion, 675 Unkefer Avenue. All proceeds from this event will go to create a scholarship for a Marion County High School senior attending college in the fall of 2012, majoring in broadcasting and or journalism. Martha Douse dancers, Dance Factory dancers, Rainbow Singers, Possum singing the Marion song, Fran Vol, all kinds of people will be there that night having a good time. And we're going to be introducing a new thing called Marion Legends at that program, which I'll talk more about on tomorrow's show. Celebrity auction items will be up that night, one of which is a painting painted by Phyllis Diller with a letter of authenticity. We showed that on yesterday's program. Maybe we'll get that in one more day this week, get a look at that Phyllis Diller picture, which will be up for auction on December the 8th. For tickets for this event, call Sean, 740-262-3203, $5 per person. Telephone number again, 740-262-3203. Get them while they're hot. Help a student here in Marion County. And that's all the schools, Charlie.
Does Phyllis Diller's photograph go with that painting?
It all goes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like the fast food places. We get rid of it all. We'll sell everything. The picture and the photo, and authentically autographed, by the way, by Phyllis Diller in her own pen. Now, we've got a story today, very interesting. I'm going to step away from politics for a second and get into a video I'm sure all of you have seen in the last few days. The event took place on November the 18th. Officer John Pike made international headlines when he shot a bright orange stream of pepper spray at protesting students at the University of California, Davis. Mr. Pike, a member of the UC Davis campus police, was dressed in full riot gear as he sprayed the students at close range. And if you have not seen that video, go to YouTube. It has 2 million hits. It went viral. I've seen the video, and take a look at it. They were protesting peacefully. They weren't throwing stones, anything of that nature.
You mentioned the word viral. I hear this here lately. I've heard it's gone viral. What does that mean?
All over the internet. It's everywhere.
Viral
Every
means
site's
everywhere.
picked up on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the term.
It's
But
used quite often now.
have you seen the video, Charlie?
Yes. Oh, yes.
What did you think when you saw that?
It's kind of a poor show. I mean, the guy, he was a little bit out of his territory.
Well, the amount of pepper spray. Have you
Oh,
seen
yes,
what
it was-
women carry around is the little, hairspray thing. This guy had, it was a paint gun
Yeah,
of
really
pepper
a
spray.
pressurized container, and that was bad. And of course, he's on administrative leave now?
Should be.
Yeah.
There you go. There's an opinion for you. Brenda, what do you think?
Well, I have not seen the video, but I have heard about it on the news, and I don't know. Students have a right to protest peacefully. I don't, like I said, I didn't see the video, so I don't know if there was any violence involved or not, but
They were just sitting there with their arms locked.
just sitting there with
Yeah.
their arms locked.
Mhm.
Yeah. So he just tried to disperse them with the pepper spray, which is bad.
Yes. I think it was horrible.
How many of them had to go to the hospital then?
I don't know, but I imagine quite a few.
I would
He
think
was
so. That could
blowing
be
it in their
blinding,
face.
yes.
Oh, my goodness.
It was horrible. And you know what was interesting? They still didn't come at him. You might think that having that sprayed in your face that you would be angry, but they just sat there. I think they were stunned that this was happening.
Oh, I'm sure.
Have you seen the video, Mary Ellen?
Yes, yeah. They were protesting the raise in tuition too, which it had gone up to $22,000 a year, I guess. They mentioned 12,000 to 22,000.
Ooh, that's a jump.
And I thought, well, they have a right to
Boy.
protest, and they were doing it so, I thought so well, and to have that happen, I thought it was pretty bad. Well, everybody was shouting, "Shame on you,"
Can you just imagine if you had contact lenses and some of that pepper spray got behind the lens?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My.
Well, this was Martha. Have you seen this video of the kids getting sprayed?
No.
It's horrible. I don't think you'd care for it either.
Sounds terrible.
And this pepper spray, from what I understand, is just as bad or can be worse than mace was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is horrible stuff. Now, here's the thing. Two questions that come out of this for me. Number one, this guy is not a cop. He's campus security. Why is he armed with pepper spray? Because in my mind, if something really bad broke out on campus, wouldn't they call somebody? Wouldn't they call the local police department? Does he need to be armed with pepper spray?
Was he alone?
No, there
Were there others?
He was the
security?
one blowing, yeah.
Okay.
Should a campus security, we have a campus here in Marion, should a campus security guard, who certainly does not have to have the qualifications that a police officer does, be able to be armed with something like that? To use at free will?
They can't have a gun, I know that. And it's probably a good thing.
Well, yeah. Now here we are in Ohio. Let's look back to Kent State. Obviously that's what a lot of people were saying
Oh, yeah.
when they saw this.
Only at Kent State, they were throwing bottles and rocks at the police.
More
They-
violent.
Sure, yes, they were violent and they shouldn't have been doing it, but I think bottles and rocks versus bullets, I think bullets wins. And I don't know that was necessary in Kent State. From the people who I talked to a reporter there, Mike Robbins, who was with the Plain Dealer, who said, yes, they were throwing things, but it certainly was still under control. You didn't need to pull a firearm out and start firing into the crowd. Is that a call to do that, Brenda? when you throw rocks and stones?
Not in my opinion. But when you were asking about security, I think in Ohio, any security officer has to go through a background check and licensed, but they're not allowed to carry a gun. But security, at any point, if they have something that they think is getting out of hand, should call the local law enforcement. That should be number one.
Now, interesting thing, the security guard at this Social Security office in Marion, now I don't know, but he carries a gun. You walk in the door and there sits this man with a pistol on his belt, and he doesn't tell you anything except he points to the computer where you're to walk over and press a number, and it spits out a number where you turn that in.
Doesn't that make you uneasy?
Oh, does it?
I mean, what is,
Yeah.
why would this,
Of course, there are probably some people that get angry in a Social Security office.
but you know, in Marion, we
Still
have,
can't use it,
No,
I don't think. Legally, I don't think he can pull a gun and use it.
I don't know, but
Well,
he's got it.
we have concealed carry here now.
Well, that's true.
We went with that. So I guess anybody could technically walk in holstered up.
And the way crime is in Marion County and everywhere, the thefts every night, are we going to have to arm ourselves and stay up all night
I
and
hope
watch
not.
our property?
Listen, Charlie, I hate to, this is not a laughing matter, but I worked in retail at one point, and I'll never forget when a guy walked in holstered up. I mean, just right over his clothes, and here was the pistol. Now, I thought, boy, oh boy, now think if I don't give him the discount he wants. I mean, you're putting yourself in the line of danger there. Doesn't that frighten you?
He
That
probably had a permit, though. I'm sure he did.
didn't make me feel any better. He could have had 10 permits, and it wouldn't have made me feel any.
I know
I don't
my-
want to see people walking around with pistols.
My late brother-in-law carried a gun just like that. He was a lawyer. And, you know, you never know what's going to happen when you're in a position like that.
Yeah, but you know how people's tempers are. I mean, what if somebody, you know, just all of a sudden, I don't know, does something to you and you whip that thing out? And then the other person whips one out too because it's
Yeah.
legal. Then you got a whole thing right there on the street. It's a matter of time before this becomes a problem.
Didn't they do that out in the West, the Old West?
Well, we don't need to bring that back, Charlie. Now, the other thing about this was, and I said this when issue 2 went down here in Ohio. I said I don't know how, and we've had this discussion on this show before, but I think this rings true. How do you make striking illegal? Because when issue 2 was an issue in Ohio, collective bargaining was the buzzword, but that had it passed, had Senate Bill 5 taken effect, would have made striking illegal. How can you make striking illegal? How do they move these Wall Street protesters and off the property and throw them in jail? How do you pepper spray people who are peaceably assembling on a college campus? This is part of the Bill of Rights, that you can peaceably assemble. How in the world, I'm hearing it more and more often that apparently we want to throw peaceably assemble out. We don't like it. Brenda, what is it with all this peaceably assemble is no longer okay?
Well, there's so many ways that you could go with that. It's okay to assemble and prove a point, I think, without violence, and make sure that you have your facts straight when you decide that you're going to prove that point, whether it be for higher wages or just anything that's going on. But, my goodness, you're talking about the gun with the Social Security guy in the Social Security office with the
Well,
gun?
I don't. Well,
Charlie was.
Yeah.
Charlie was
right.
talking about, I'm saying these people on this campus in California were peaceably assembling. A strike, unless you're attacking somebody, is peaceably assembling. I don't know how you can make that illegal. To me, that's against the Constitution, the Bill of Rights.
It's against the Constitution, and if they are part of a union, they've already worked through those processes and have that in line. So, as far as I'm concerned, the law has to abide by those guidelines and those rules.
Go ahead.
Unions. You know, back in the 50s and 60s, unions were very, very essential in assisting industrial workers and getting raises and getting fair employment and fair treatment in the workplace and whatever. And I'm not so sure that that's needed anymore. Look at Honda down there, how many employees they have and how many times they've tried to get a union in. But I've been a member of a union at one time, and they didn't really do anything for me, but I took my dues.
Well, yeah, well, you pay your dues. That's one thing. They're going to get their dues. Yeah. But, here's something, Mary, I don't know if you saw the program last week. Mary Ann Michaels and I got into a very, a little heated conversation. I said that if issue 2 had went up without firefighters and police officers being tied in with teachers, if teachers had went up alone, I think it would have failed. I think that people would not have voted to collectively bargain. I think people do want to take care of the firefighters. They do want to take care of the police officers. But I think, and I'm not against teachers, certainly not. I mean, I graduated from Ohio State with a degree in education, bachelor's degree. I'm not against teachers, but I think if they had went up alone, I think it would have been less chance of it passing because they're not, they do tremendous work. Holy mackerel, they do. But it's not life or death like a firefighter or a police officer. Right.
Well, we want to protect our firemen and police officers, law enforcement, whatever you want to call them, because we depend so much on them. Our little 8-year-old grandson, when he was about 5 years old, every time he'd hear a siren go by or see something, he goes, "Oh, somebody's in trouble, they're going to help him." So they don't have to be too old to realize that, and it's good that they grow up knowing that if they need help, that's where you need to go. And so at my age, if I need help, and the firefighter I'm sick, and the firefighter happens to be a paramedic, I want him to be able to be there. On the other hand, if somebody breaks into my house and I need law enforcement, I want them to be able to be there. And so I think I know a lot of people who voted said that I think I voted the wrong way on that issue. They didn't understand it because of the wording. So some people were thinking that by voting yes, that they were voting to support the firefighters, when in a sense they were putting the opposite way. And they are very essential to our very being every day.
Mary Ellen, what was your thought on issue 2?
Oh, I voted no on issue 2. And I really resented the way everything came down from the governor on and how this got originated. I just felt it was totally wrong. You can't order people around like that without having some charisma and being a little bit nice. And he was not nice.
Our Governor Kasich, did everybody see his speech on election night when that went? Mm-hmm. That was one of the most unique speeches I've ever heard in my life. What did you think of his speech, Mary Ellen, after he kind of lost the way that he wanted it to go on issue 2? And then he said, well, hey, you know what? The public has spoken, but if you're in a small community and you expect aid now, forget it.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's still John Kasich, and that's the way he is.
Yeah, unfortunately for a lot of people. Charlie, you've mentioned your feelings on John Kasich from time to time. What do you feel about how he handled this issue?
Well, I've known him for a long time. As I mentioned, I was on the same speaker's platform as he. We were both speaking at an FFA banquet clear down in Morrow County years and years ago. And John Kasich promised those FFA members everything under the sun. I'm going to give you money from Washington. Same with 4-H. We're going to help you people. And then he got up and left. and I thought, oh my. I wanted to say something that night like, yeah, you'll wait a long time before FFA and 4-H receives money from Washington for any purpose.
Has he done anything good in his tenure as governor that you can see?
I really don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Well, he's come in. He's ruffled some feathers in his short tenure as governor here in Ohio.
He's kind of rough. I mean, the business about if you don't get on the bus or get under it or whatever.
Run over
Get
it.
right
I mean,
That's right.
you've got to be a diplomat regardless of anything.
Well, you know what? Here's the funny thing, though. I think we would say the same thing about Newt Gingrich earlier on this week. How do these people get elected, and how do they? What is going on in the psyche?
He's not going to last long.
You know, Mary Ellen, we didn't get to it. We ran out of time. Is Mitt Romney going to get the nod?
I don't know, but it looks like he's probably the most stable. The one that I think has said a lot of good things is John Huntsman. But you know, he ran against his boss, and you don't do that. And I just keep looking at him and thinking, what is he thinking, you know?
He wasn't.
But he looks presidential, and other than the fact that he's running against his boss, he's said a lot of good things, but I don't agree with him.
What about our pal from the South, Rick Perry?
You know, I always wondered, you know, he ran against Kay Bailey Hutchinson to get the governor's job. And I know Kay Bailey Hutchinson pretty well because she was treasurer when I was treasurer. And I watched the election, but I didn't realize who she was running against. And here it was him. And well, he's a piece of work as well.
Is there not a Republican around who could carry that mantle and do it the way that people have done it? I mean, like a Gerald Ford or a Ronald Reagan obviously did very well. Eisenhower. Where are those Republicans?
Well, you know, I don't think they wanted to run. There was a lot of people that they tried to get to run. They tried several, and they wouldn't run. You just don't run if you don't think it's the wise thing to do. And that was the case. And then you have this field of, what is it, 7 or 8, or is it 9? There's
It's
quite
9.
a few. And they're all, they're just a strange group. Really.
They really are, and I'm not even being defensive toward Republicans. But when Rick Perry got up there and forgot the third part, now it's, you know, it's okay. We all forget. Heavens knows we forget things. But this is like the main thing of his campaign. How can you forget that in a debate?
Of energy, of all things.
Well, and then you got. But the poor pizza man, I mean, he looks good in the debates compared to these politicians. But then he's got his own problems when he comes off the
He
stage.
sure does, yeah.
I don't understand it. And Mitt Romney, the only one who I think, as Charlie said, who I think could look presidential, they just will not accept that guy. I don't know what it is about him.
I think there's a little bit of prejudice too, as Mormon religion.
I think there is.
Yeah.
I really think there is, because to my knowledge, as they call it, the Bible Belt on election night, I don't think any Republican has won office since Reagan without winning the Bible Belt. And could a Mormon carry the Christian coalition? Could a Mormon do that, Mary Ellen?
Well, I think that's what he's having trouble with. I feel the same way. They have some very strong religious feelings within the Republican Party. Not that the Democratic Party doesn't, but that's really funny, isn't it? But no, I mean, you know, that the Bible Belt is where they are. Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting. Let's delve into the mailbag on this Wednesday before we get out of here. And remember, if you have a question for the mailbag, you can email that to me at scottspears3, the number 3, at gmail.com, no spaces, or jump on Facebook under The Exchange Marion. Just search that and you'll come up to our page and find out all kinds of interesting stuff. Today's mailbag question, kind of a fun one. What is your favorite pet? Tammy with an I in Marion. What is your favorite pet, Charlie? Favorite kind of animal?
Dog.
Dog? What
Yeah.
kind of dog?
Any kind.
Just love the dog.
Oh, yeah.
See, I don't like dogs because you got to let them out. And we have some winters in Ohio, and I don't want to let them out.
There you go.
Brenda, what do you think? Favorite pet?
Well, I have so many allergies. I'm allergic to dogs and cats, so I don't have pets. I always tell everybody my husband's my pet, and I don't have to let him out, so, you know.
I understand. Mary Ellen, follow that. What's your favorite pet?
Well, I went to see Puss in Boots the other day, and I would like to have a pet like Puss in Boots.
That wouldn't be bad at all, no.
He is adorable.
Martha, you have a cat, I know. Is our cat your favorite, or do you like dogs better?
Yes, my cat Sis is my favorite. I just love it.
And when people get to a certain age and they live alone, a pet can be very helpful.
Yes.
Very, very helpful.
Pet therapy is very good for older people.
I was never much of a pet person. I guess I like fish. But then, if you don't get that thing that changes the water in the fish, oh boy. That is one smell you don't forget if you walk into a room when that hasn't been taken care
You
of.
should have a pet snake sometime.
I love to look at dogs. I think I'm fascinated by dogs because there's so many varieties of them, and so many of them are so pretty.
I like the little dogs,
Yeah.
not the big dogs.
Teacup Yorkies and whatever.
We're coming back on Thursday with much more conversation on the exchange. Also going to talk about Marion Legends coming up. Don't forget that.